Welcome to the next episode of the Teacher Zone with Chris and Tyler, brought to you by teacherzone.com. And I'm here with Chris Bates. I am Tyler Maroff, and today's episode is part 3 of our transformation framework applied to our teams. Now, Chris, first of all, how are you doing today? And give us those 3 things that as founders we're in charge of again. Let's start with that. Well, how are you, man?
I'm good, man. I'm fabulous. If you're starting with this, then just know this is part of a series. It's a 4-part. We also have a webinar called the Transformation Formula. Get that on teacherzone.com. Also, we have another podcast where we talked about leadership, and that's what Tyler is alluding to right now. That podcast with transformational leadership. So lots to do with transforming. So Tyler, What makes a leader? It's 3 things. It's vision, it's people, it's finances. Those are the 3 things that we as leaders should focus on. Stop being everything in your business. You'll reduce your stress, and surprisingly, you're going to have happier staff who's more aligned with your vision. You're going to grow more because people are going to you'll have the time to actually work with your teams on marketing and attracting more and converting and all the things we're talking about. Right. So those 3 things: vision, people, finances.
That's it. Those are the 3. So today, folks, when we go over the transformation formula, and that webinar it's a super fun webinar. You should find it on the website and take the webinar. It's a teaching class on the framework itself that we extracted from extremely successful lesson businesses in the industry to create that framework for you. But this series is fun because we're going to apply how do Chris and I not work in the business so we can keep the mission and vision alive and healthy and work on it. So that's the difference today. So we're going to be talking about this episode, which is the deliver part of the framework. So we did attract, right, Chris? We did convert. And now episode 3 is the delivery, how the company gives the customer what they came and showed up for.
It's your proof, right? It's like what you said you would do. The deliver is now, okay, show me, do it. So the attract, that's taking people out in the community and saying, hey, do you want what we have, right? Convert is saying, oh, you do, let's get you going.
Let's not waste time.
Yeah. And then deliver is it's now about you actually walking the walk.
Right.
Proof.
It's where it is the absolute proof. Your customers were so impressed with your clear messaging that they wanted to sign up, and now they're hoping and they're trusting that your delivery is going to be similar to the vision and the first 2 pillars that we went over in the last 2 episodes. By the way, go listen to those 2. If you're catching this one right now, go back 2 episodes and listen to Attract, then convert, and then come back here.
And just to be clear, guys, there's the next 2, deliver and transform. That's your business, right? Convert, deliver, transform is your business, and deliver, transform is the day-to-day. Deliver can be seen more as the ops, like operations, if you will, and transform is the why. It's the emotional part of your business. It's basically why you got into the learning business to begin with. So we'll cover that team of ours next. We're actually talking about our own team. We happen to own a performance academy that teaches music and our kids do great performance and stuff. The reason we're talking about our own is just to give an example of how you can align your teams. This is not like the end all. Tyler and I are work in progress too. This is just giving you an example of how we do it, so that way you can kind of wrap your head around, okay, how can I do it? So don't take it as like, you must do it like us. No. This is just,
And these principles are applied to, technically any business and leadership model anywhere. But right now, our focus, if you're tuning in for the first time, is towards any lesson and teaching business. So like, it doesn't matter what you're teaching, you wanted to get there and start teaching it. That's what this framework is for. And let's go ahead and go for it, Chris. Do you want to list the first 3 or just start with the first 1? How do you want to do it today?
Quick outline for deliver, guys. So if you hopefully you watch the webinar, but in the webinar we talk about the quadrant, which is the attract, convert, deliver, transform. In Deliver, there's a billion things we can go over, but we chunked it down to 3 to keep it simple for all of us. We even have a worksheet, by the way, in the webinar, so you can go get the worksheet, watch the webinar from our website. But bottom line is scheduling location. That's the first part of delivering a lesson business, because we're selling time. So by selling time, we have to determine a scheduling location. Another part of Deliver is actually attendance, and then makeups, because you're keeping track of like what, whatever it is you owe them, and then payroll, so you can sort of align all that. The reason we promote that, we'll talk about in a minute, but if you're not taking attendance, it's time to start. Super important part of proving that you're giving what you said. And then lastly is communication. And I know for so many of you that come to us for our help with Teacher Zone, and we have friends all over, communication's a big one for all of us, because gosh, it's hard to be consistent, isn't it? So we'll talk about that.
Cool. So let's start with scheduling and location. Ask yourselves, how do you keep track? Do you keep track? There's people listening right now that they might have a pencil and paper ledger and no real record of the historical data of who came through and who is coming through their institution. So that is huge. So that, like Chris said, that not only is the teacher and the employee or the independent contractor, however you run it, volunteering their time, the owners and the workers say, I agree. Okay, did it happen? Do you have record? Or worst comes to worst, what if law enforcement gets involved, or a divorce attorney or something? They want to know someone was in your premises or not that day, and they subpoena something. Do you even have any proof? Or you're going to go like, I think so. So anyways, we're trying not to make a mountain out of a molehill here, but this is basic business 101, keeping track. So then there's the location, Chris, right? Where are we? Where are they? Were they at home? I mean, we all got trained overnight, Chris, on how to do virtual online learning through a pandemic. So now schools are, maybe parents being careful, not sending the kids in, but quickly jumping on a virtual lesson. Do you know where they were then as well? So Chris, do you want to elaborate on this a little bit?
Pre-pandemic, we had 3 models that we saw in the industry, with regard to location. We had in person, we had virtual, and that in person could either be in your home or in a fixed location or whatever. We had virtual, which is still live, but virtually. And then we had video learning. So those were very clear cut and defined. What's so cool about the pandemic, if there was one thing that came out of it that was good, it's that the whole world got trained on tech. So now all those lines are kind of blurred, aren't they? So we're seeing a lot of us go a little bit more hybrid on the 3, because they're just different ways of delivering value for learning. So let's talk about our team, Ty. So as far as our delivery team for scheduling and location, Melissa Maroff, who just happens to be Tyler's beloved bride. Melissa is amazing, and she's dealing with all the cat herding. So I know all of you, either you're dealing with it or someone on your staff. Melissa happens to be the person for us that's leading that charge. We also have a lot of it to deal with the teachers. They're on that team too. So if we look at the team members of the scheduling part, it would be Melissa and the teachers, right? It's important to define the team. One of the reasons that we're breaking these down into the teams, guys, is because if we're going to make all of us better leaders, part of being better leaders is the 3 things we talked about, right? We're supposed to make sure that we're imparting our vision. We're giving the people what they need. That's our team or the teams. And then lastly, we're in charge of the finances or the resources of the business. So have good teams. And if you don't have them, start defining them so you can start building them. And that's what we're trying to inspire you to do. So this team is Melissa and the teachers. Tyler, the first thing that we schedule, obviously, is what we all do, which is private and groups, right?
Right. Yep. Yeah. So that goes on to the schedule, and you've got the outline in front of you, Chris. So go ahead and tee off, and I'll start us on the next one.
Basically, the private and group lessons, for most of you, it's a fixed time. Some of you offer drop-ins, or you'll have different, like, we're going to do this workshop Wednesday night, stuff like that. but there's always a schedule, isn't there? It's not typically totally free form. Even if you allow people to drop in, you're saying between these hours. So when you're selling lessons in the lesson business, you're typically selling time of some sort. And so that learning takes place within a time parameter. So that's why scheduling location can be so important. And by keeping track of that, and a lot of you, if you're still on Google Docs, you're still on spreadsheets, at least you have a system. We had one customer that converted. They were still on wall calendars, like pen and paper. Still a system, just not transparent. A cloud-based system allows families to be able to check in the apps. So we have apps, be able to check on the desktop schedules, be able to basically do whatever they want. In other words, however they're comfortable receiving that information.
Right.
So
and that's why this pillar is so fun, Chris, because this first item of the 3, which is scheduling location, ties into the third one, which we'll get to in a second, which is communication. So at Los Rios, those are in tandem automated as well. So even though we've got a team making sure the schedule's right, once that person is on the schedule, once Melissa activates that person, she's done with them. That's it. And we'll move on. So that takes us to attendance, makeups, and payroll is our item number 2.
And before we jump into that, I just wanted to say one thing, Ty. I don't know about you guys, but one thing I've noticed Melissa's been able to do lately is people can go in and cancel in the apps and all. But if she knows ahead of time, or if they reach out like last minute, especially for the last minute ones, oh my gosh, Johnny just came down with a fever. Melissa's been able to actually say, well, how's he feeling? Does he want to jump on a virtual rather than just miss the lesson?
Right.
So
and it has been a godsend. So Chris was like, well, the pandemic forced us into a really quick solution for this to streamline something we were already doing, but only like 0.8% of our customers were using prior to the pandemic. And then all of a sudden it jumped 40% and everybody needed to be online. So we did some amazing APIs with Google Meet or any meeting software in existence, codes right into our software. So Los Rios, all those kids have to do is press the little green camera in their app, no meeting link required, and they drop in and they see their teacher. So that is a big, big win that we've had and all of our customers have that use Teacher Zone as well. But that's a Los Rios custom improvement that the families have been utilizing.
Yeah, because the cool part is that it's frictionless, right? It's not, we just burned 15 minutes looking for the link.
Right.
Because time is of the essence. So, okay, sorry. Now let's get into attendance, makeups, and payroll.
All right. So the team leads on attendance. This is a big one. So our teachers are the managers of their schedule. They real time take attendance, whether they're attended or a student cancels, or maybe a teacher canceled because they're sick. And then the big one, there's one called no-show. So those are the 4 choices. The teachers pull it up on their dashboard right in front of them, select one, hit save, and start teaching, and it's done. And the whole system is notified that that's there forever. It's the reporting will have it forever. But here's the neat one, Chris. If there is a no-show, does the teacher have to pull up his cell phone, start texting Melissa in operations or us and start to find out what's going on? Does he need to direct message the 14-year-old girl in Instagram to say, hey, where are you? No, never again. Right. The system sends out a beautiful customized per Los Rios's, what we require, note that has a little call to action to let us know if they're okay. The teacher doesn't have to do anything but hit save. And everyone's notified.
We call it the no-show. It's kind of a no-show Amber Alert. And so if you activate that in Teacher Zone, what's great is that it'll actually, like Tyler said, text your custom message. So Tyler made a really fun one in ours that actually says, is everything okay? So what's so cool is that moms or dads or grandparents, people will respond back almost instantly to Melissa and say, I'm so sorry.
Right. But most importantly, operations gets the notifications as well. So text message and email goes to the families on the account. Then operations email that goes to all ops sees it as well, real time. And do you act that second? Maybe not. But here's what we also found out. Schools around the world that are using Teacher Zone are hitting no-show within the first few minutes of the lesson. And it causes the parents to remember they had a lesson today. Especially when things are virtual, they're forgetting that it's time to log on to the computer and have a virtual lesson. So the Amber Alert has been a tool, besides the chat that's built in, by the way, they could have used. They use it as a tool to get mom's attention because no one wants to see Chris Bates. Your child was a no-show to Los Rios today is like the subject line. And they're like, no, you didn't. And it causes people to jump on, click the green camera, get into their lesson a couple minutes late. So that's just a funny side story. But
by the way, Tyler, I think it's something important. You have always, well, the one thing you've done really good, I'm not the one thing, but one of the great things that you do well is that you really, as a leader, you help our customers really understand the rules. And our customers, we've iterated, for almost 12 years now, like how important it is to show up. And so people feel guilty.
Yes. Yep. They feel guilty at our school if they got to take a vacation. And they'll tell us, like, I'm so sorry, but we have to take 2 weeks and not one this time. But we just haven't done it in so long. We haven't seen grandma in Australia in so long. And we're like, dude, it's okay.
Tyler, for fun on the attendance side, I just polled my own son, Hudson. So Hudson's a sophomore. He's been at Los Rios for a number of years. I just pulled up. He's had 568 lessons. He's had 415.25 hours of group and private lessons at our school.
That's amazing. And that's only since he's been at our school well before we had Teacher Zone installed. So
True.
Imagine what that would look like if we started in 2012 when he was like 2.5 feet tall.
Right. What's so great about that as a parent, I got to tell you, is there's just a satisfaction with online learning of being able to get some data, and be able to know what, like we talked about proving. The deliver is really all about the proof is in the pudding. The attendance is a great way of you proving what you're giving. And then lastly, what comes with the attendance, Tyler, is payroll. And so how does that work?
Well, the payroll is really easy. If the teacher takes attendance, and we set our preferences, how every school in teacherzone.com can set their preferences custom to exactly how they work their payroll culture, how hours are paid, etc. So ours, we just hit a button and our main team member is Gandrud Financial. Marianne at Gandrud Financial is our payroll department. Every 2 weeks, she gets the payroll report directly from Teacher Zone and direct deposits go out and we don't do anything because the teachers took attendance real time and it's all integrated.
So the team leads, by the way, guys, so we already said scheduling locations, Melissa and the teachers. The team leads on attendance, makeups, and payroll is basically the teachers and our bookkeeper, Gandrud Financial.
Right. Oh, we forgot one important team lead. You're not going.
Well, that's the next one.
Who's in charge of makeups?
Oh, students.
Yes, the parents and the students are actually the team lead. And if something's a little weird, like us on a special occasion, Melissa may have to help for some reason, but otherwise they open their app as a parent or student, either one. They go to schedule, they select banked. Those are those lessons that are approved to be restored. Those are reschedules.
Yep.
Choose which one and where it goes based on open times. And then once it saves, it immediately notifies the teacher and the administration.
So if you guys are listening to what Tyler just said, I hear so many of you tell me that your bane of your existence is how much time is spent on rescheduling and the back and forth. Tyler just told you that your team lead on that one is your students and parents.
Yeah, you know the parents that actually bug you about them? Just give the job to them. And
it's their job. It's not yours anymore.
I'm not sorry. By the way, they expire at Los Rios Rock School in 60 days. You guys don't have to have an expiration date if you do use Teacher Zone. We do. We don't want to deal with those stupid things. We found out parents don't either. No one has time for those stupid things. And
Right.
that's a whole nether podcast, by the way. Go
Right.
to Makeup Lessons Solved is about 15 episodes ago and listen to that one. Right, Chris?
Yep. And what's so great is that if we're able to free up our time to be able to be better leaders in our business, and I hope you don't have a problem with that term leader, because it's important. It's actually, we're so grateful that we're given the opportunity to try and help people be better, helps our customers have a better experience.
It's an honor, Chris, to be able to be that third party mentor that the children or students will remember until they're 80. Like, that is an impact. If you're making an impact like that, then you're a leader, and it's okay to say that.
100%. It's okay. So the last part to this is communication. So with the communication on Deliver, remember, this is Deliver. The proof's in the pudding. Who are your teams on Deliver? So for communication, we have a team member that has saved our time immensely. Like you call it buying back your time. Who's that team member?
We haven't programmed a more inflection in his voice, but hold on one second. Hey, Mr. Teacher Zone, are you here? Yes, I am here. Thank you so much for your help and being the team lead on over 50% of the communications at Los Rios. You are welcome. See, that's him, everybody. Mr. Teacher Zone has literally single-handedly taken over more than half of our communications. Tell him how, Chris.
So what's great about communications, guys, is we have other people that are on the team. Mr. Teacher Zone is leading it, but then we have humans involved too. We have Spencer Hayden, who's our social media and dealing with like email newsletter, stuff like that. Spencer Askin is dealing with our performance emails, stuff like that. And then, of course, we do have the admins and teachers chatting with students and parents and all that kind of stuff inside the system.
Group chats and one-on-one chats, parent to teacher, student to teacher, and then the student to groups. So it's teacher to groups. Groups cannot exist without a teacher or higher security level involved. And guess what? The big caveat, we were like, how are we going to do this? Little kids chatting? We figured it out, and it's about as basic as it can get, and it was right in front of everyone's faces, and we should patent it. No delete button in the chat. Everyone's integrity is on the table. And you know what? There has been one instance out of 180,000 students in the last 4 years that's happened that we've had to deal with. One. And it's been years. So that communication is super powerful. So the team leads, who are the team leads on those communications, on the chats, Chris?
Well, the chats, basically, again, it's not us. And that's what's so great. Admins can do it, but ultimately you're putting that on your teachers and the families, because, like in our chats, we have created communication that where students really feel a deeper connection. Because that community, the other 6 days when they're not with you, is super important. So that's where the leads are them. And then if we just get into the list of what that team, the communication team, Mr. Teacher Zone and
Mr. Teacher. Well, let's do Mr. Teacher Zone first. 70 plus custom notifications that we as Los Rios go into Teacher Zone and we change every one of them to say Los Rios Rock School instead of Teacher Zone. Totally customizable, and even can change the body of each text or email that goes out for all the different instances.
You know what my favorite is?
Which one?
The one you made that says for assignments.
Oh, jackpot. Your practice has arrived. I wonder what's inside.
Yeah.
That one?
Yeah. It feels like I got a present or like I won.
Yeah. And it's funny. It's probably a good idea to change that every now and then. It's been like that for 4.5 years. We have not changed it once. Seems to be working just fine. So every time a teacher goes in, and this is part of the transformation formula. So I'm not going to give you too many hints because we'll do that next episode. But every time a teacher goes in and assigns an amazing assignment or a lesson plan, not only do the parents know it was assigned as soon as he hits save, your practice has arrived, or jackpot, outdoor practice from Los Rios has arrived. That is completely up to us how we want that to be said. And the teacher does not have to send a thing. They create what they would have already created anyways and hit done. And everyone is notified. That's one of, well, technically two, if you count the text and the email version. That's 2 of the 70 notifications that brings the system to life. So Mr. Teacher Zone is an AI based on the coding to make sure that the delivery of everything we give them, everyone knows where they're supposed to be, what they're getting, when it's due, and when they're coming back.
Yep. And one last thing, guys. We also have Mr. Teacher Zone integrated into other integrations like Zapier, which is thousands. So like you can actually, when you get a new registration, it'll zap that info. So that's sort of a communicative, it takes stuff off your plate. We also have it communicating with, TriTech, if you have a POS system that you use AIMSy. We also have it communicating with Google. So your students and parents and teachers, they can actually do our Google Cal sync so that it's syncing into their iPhones and Androids and everything as well. So not only do we have the 70, not only do we have the chats, not only do we have that, but Mr. Teacher Zone is also integrating that communication to other, like your CRM, your email platform, and the like.
Exactly. So that's huge. So you heard about the group and solo chats. You heard about the auto reminders, so notifications that bring the system alive to make teachers' lives easier, parents and students more in the know, operations happier, sleeping at night. That is the idea of this communication part of this particular quadrant piece of the framework, which is deliver. The how. So Chris, who and what are we discussing next week? Give them a little teaser without giving it away. So the pillars transformation, what do they have to look forward to?
Well, the deal is that like Simon Sinek said, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. Yep. And who you are as a business is, if you're in the learning business, you're in the transformation business.
Yep. I'm guessing you got involved because something sparked in your life and you never wanted to stop doing that thing. Jiu-jitsu, music, golf. Chris loves golf, and whatever. And therefore, you wanted to spread the wealth, share the gospel of golf, whatever that is, and give that away. Why? Why did you want to give that to them? And that's what we're going to get into next week, and
as
how
we know,
the transformation is applied to teams.
Because learning, we know, transforms lives. So we'll get into that next week. Thank you, Mr. Tyler. Thanks for the proof is in the pudding on the deliver side.
You're welcome, Mr. Chris.
Now we're gonna have to make a cartoon avatar. I love it.
We teacher, basically Mr. Teacher Zone was born today, guys, and but we had to give him props where it was due. So next week. Next episode is the transformation part of the quadrant. Until then, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. And again, this podcast is sponsored by teacherzone.com. Go there, find out more about us, and we'll see you on the flip side. Take care. Bye, Chris.
Bye, Ty.
Mr. Teacher Zone out. That was a fun one.